I've been using the Google Pixel 7 Pro as my daily driver for nearly 2 whole months now, and during that time, I've had many people ask me what I thought about Google's latest flagship device. I normally am quite expressive of my opinions of features on products, but for some reason I was drawing a blank about what to say about this phone in my pocket. All I've been mustering out is that the Pixel 7 Pro is good. That's really all I could say. So I took some time to reflect deeper on what I was experiencing, and then I realized something. I didn't have much to say about Google's flagship, not because it was uneventful, but because it just did its job as a smartphone so well that it just blended into my background of my everyday life seamlessly. While it isn't perfect, no phone is, I think Google has finally found a recipe to follow for the long term. I'm Alex from the Sypnotix. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I just wanted to also make a disclaimer that Google did send us this phone to review, but they're not paying us. They're also not going to see this video before you guys do. Everything I say here is literally just what I experienced and how I feel about this phone. So let's jump into it. Physically, not much has changed for the design of the Pixel phone in 2022. This product lineup is distinguished by the camera bar on the glass back. This is a design choice that you either think is really cool looking or like an eyesore. I lean more on that latter one, as I much prefer the design language of the Pixel 2 and the glass window that housed the cameras. Regardless of one's design preferences though, it's pretty obvious that Google did away with their playful two-toned approach this year and opted for a very formal appearance. They sent us the obsidian black color, and this year it's mixed with a smooth metallic camera bar and frame. In some ways, this is a perfect symbolism for the overall Pixel experience in 2022. It's mature and straight down to business. There really isn't anything special or unique about the Pixel's design, but that also kind of applies to just about every candy bar phone nowadays, not named Nothing phone. The camera bar houses the long-standing main selling points of Google Pixels, as we have a 15 megapixel f1.9 wide sensor sitting next to a 48 megapixel f3.5 telephoto lens and a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide. I've been able to test this camera out during Thanksgiving and on a trip up to beautiful Canada during the autumn season for some good photo ops. To keep my analysis simple and straight to the point, the Pixel 7 Pro lived up to my expectations about how a Pixel camera should perform. In optimal lighting situations, the Pixel 7 Pro is still one of the best mobile phone cameras in automatically picking up a good shot. This is a phone that just about anybody can pull out of their pocket and frame a good-looking picture for their Instagram. Colors are distinct without being overly bold. In some cases, the photos have clear and defined sharpness around the edges of subjects. It gets a little muddier with focal points when we get into that macro situation, as the AI still isn't on par with a pair of human hands on a camera lens, but for the most part, I do see progress with every new generation of this technology. Low light is where the Pixel phones get a lot of their acclaim from. Over the years, night sight has evolved into a legitimate feature that people buy this phone for. Taking my phone out to snap shots at nighttime in downtown Toronto made me appreciate just how far Google's AI has come in processing these shots. The sensors play a part in the perceived quality of photos, yes, but Google really has tinkered the way the camera accepts light and processes the photos through their software. The last few phones I've been reviewing didn't have some of the software magic that I see here, and I realized just how I've innately expected these things from my smartphones. Low light isn't the world-ending obstacle that it was in the 2010s. I'd be rewriting history if I didn't acknowledge that the pixels played a part in my perception of this reality. For example, Scotiabank Arena looked fantastic through my Pixel camera lens at midnight. This year's camera trick that Google is promoting heavily is the Magic Eraser. By simply using your finger to rub a person or thing you believe is ruining your shot in the background, the software will magically erase it from the picture. Look, this isn't perfect by any means. If you really want to do this right, you have to throw this into Photoshop. However, not everybody is a Photoshop or Lightroom expert. In fact, many smartphone users who snap hundreds of photos a week just want to do these things in a general sense. This is where Google has made these traditional aspects of photo editing so simple. I tested the magic eraser out on the beautiful landscape photos that I took of a park in Toronto, and I specifically asked my brother-in-law to hike down about maybe like 100 feet away for me to wipe him out of my photo. I got rid of him and a couple of other people nearby him in a relatively clean manner. I'm quite impressed with just how well it handled that section with just a press of a button. It's so simple. Where this feature struggled is with layers and depth of content. At a distant intersection of a road that gets lost in shrubbery, the software AI has trouble deciding what to replicate to cover that area once it removes that obstacle. In this case, it seems to just abruptly close off the road and fill it in with more shrubbery, and it's a little distorted. This makes it look like an illusion due to the whole depth perception forced by the tree branches in the foreground. Of course, this was an extreme case with a wide field of view to manage. In the long run, though, I found the Magic Eraser to actually be quite good for what it is. If you think of it more as like an Instagram filter than a Photoshop tool, you'll likely embrace this feature a lot more. The 10.8 megapixel f2.2 front-facing camera, on the other hand, could probably use some more refining, as I do think there are better selfie cameras from competitors than what I used here on the Pixel 7 Pro. Video recording is also a mixed bag. While it has the hardware capabilities to handle 4K at 60 frames per second, the execution of how the camera picks up a video could definitely be better. I struggle retaining focus on subjects when attempting to have even the slightest movement on any shot. Still, overall, the Pixel 7 Pro is an absolutely terrific mobile package that shouldn't leave owners disappointed at all. The performance of the Pixel 7 Pro is another aspect of the phone that won't leave users hoping for more. That's largely thanks to the Tensor G2 SoC with 12GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. With a year under their belt, Google has been able to enhance certain proponents about their in-house chipset. While on paper, the G2 doesn't stack up to Qualcomm's juggernaut offerings in terms of pure statistical power, I honestly didn't notice a performance difference in everyday usage. Apps and web pages loaded up just as quickly and flowed from one task to another effortlessly. I didn't come across any mobile games that would cause the Pixel 7 Pro to have any grief either. There were infrequent occasions after an hour of farming a game that the rear of the phone would get a bit uncomfortable to hold due to the heat, but overall the Pixel 7 Pro handles smartphone work like a flagship phone should. Android 13 chugs along as Google's OS version for this year. I really haven't come across anything detrimental to the Android experience with this current version of Android, but I do think there is a natural flow here with the Pixel 7 Pro. Part of the illusion of a great flow is due to the Pixel's 120Hz refresh rate on the 6.7-inch AMOLED display. It's a sharp Quad HD resolution with 512 ppi. Scrolling through Android 13 and reading apps is remarkably smooth of an experience. Of course, it isn't the only thing out there that does this, but it's still top-notch nonetheless. I find the visual aspect of the Pixel 7 Pro to also be terrific. Colors are rich with distinction, and the viewing angles are great from any direction. There's a slight waterfall drop on the edges that aren't really noticeable if you have a case on the phone. Viewing media on this AMOLED screen is immensely enjoyable. The phone gets plenty bright even at full brightness. I find that the range of the Pixel's offering here in the brightness department is quite drastic. I had no problem with visibility in glaring sunlight. My two biggest gripes with the Pixel 7 Pro is the battery life and the in-display fingerprint scanner. Neither of them are terrible, but they do slightly lower my daily enjoyment of this phone. I'm not a fan of fingerprint sensors under the display in the first place. For me, it works about 87% of the time. That's not bad, but my thumb is either too sweaty or the display is a little damp. I max out on my attempts and have to input my PIN. It is what it is with this technology. Like, I have this issue with most in-display fingerprint scanners. Fortunately, there's a face scanner to use as a login that's rather quick to unlock. I still have to wear a mask at my office, so it isn't fully reliable for my usage either. The battery is a totally different story. That's a lofty 5,000 milliamp hour cell packed into the Pixel 7 Pro that should get most people through a full workday. If you're like me and indulge yourself in some gacha games from time to time, the Pixel 7 Pro's battery cannot handle that format of sessions or farming sessions. I normally would say you are actually gaming on your mobile phone if you play more than like 2 hours a day on it. Anything under that is just regular app usage. I legitimately tried to farm on the Pixel 7 Pro and was plugging in like twice a day. Once I deleted that game and went back to my regular casual uses, I was hitting a good like 4 to 7 hours of screen on time and plenty of battery life before retiring to bed. So while the battery life is sufficient, if you actually game on your phones, I surprisingly found that the Pixel 6a handled that routine much better. There's different reasons as to why this is, but that was an observation that stuck with me with how I used the Pixel 7 Pro later on in my testing period. While I'm nitpicking here, I also found the Pixel 7 Pro to be a little too wide and heavy for my hands. It's just at the brink of what I would consider usable with one hand, even though it has what is essentially now a standard aspect ratio nowadays of 19.5 by 9. I see it everywhere. I'm an average 5'8" male, but I do prefer slightly smaller form factors. Yes, there is a smaller Pixel 7, which I do like the size of, but with that size difference costs some benefits that the Pro embraces, like an extra camera, RAM, and also refresh rate. I do wish that OEMs would just stop with these spec differences between phone sizes and just offer the same exact product at different sizes and also price points. That's just my personal pet peeve, but I'm looking forward to reviewing the next phone in my drawer, the Asus Zenfone 9, for this reason alone. I have to give the Google Pixel 7 Pro high remarks though. I just think that this is a really well-rounded device with very few weaknesses. The things I didn't like about it were minor or preferences that I could live with. Over time, the Pixel 7 Pro just blended into my everyday life and I just kind of forgot about it. I can't remember the last time a phone fit into my life so nonchalantly without something being wildly interesting or detrimental to my user experience. If Google keeps producing products that are just above average on every category on a smartphone, then I don't care if none of it is extraordinary. I'll take a well-rounded above average phone every day over one that only has one single industry-leading thing. Once again, I'm Alex from the Sypnotix. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think of the Google Pixel 7 Pro, and I'll see you guys next time.
So the other day, I was on a Zoom call at work, and I just dropped everything I was saying, and I told them, subscribe.